Welcome in again, everybody. I'm your host, Ronnie Sanders, along with Ellis Johnson on this week's Coach's Corner on the Auburn Undercover Podcast. Ellis, good to be with you.
Good to be back. Got some good games and stuff happening now. We got more to talk about than NIL and portal and everything else. Now we can talk about facts instead of opinions.
What are your thoughts so far?
On the conference mostly, or what?
On the conference.
You know, it looks like it's really getting muddled. You got some guys like Texas and Georgia and others that will, pick to be the top 2, 3, 4 teams, LSU, and all of them have a little soft spot somewhere. They're not nearly as complete teams as they may have been last year or 2 years ago. Georgia, for example, I don't think they have the quality of depth, especially in that defensive front. They used to throw 5 or 10 kids at you, in the first quarter, and now they don't quite have that dominance. I like Gunnar Stockton, though. He's proven. Everybody had some questions about him. So far, he's proven to be a very good quarterback and a heck of a leader. Teams like Oklahoma that everybody's wondering about, they're looking good. Auburn, everybody was wondering about, they're looking good. So that's, the ones that people were kind of concerned about are pushing up to the top, and the ones that everybody thought was going to be battling out at the end, they do have some vulnerabilities. LSU, all of a sudden last year they could put up points, but they were a little bit weak in secondary and vulnerable. They give up too many points. And all of a sudden this year, I guess, solved that part through the portal, but this year their offense can't get in gear consistently, but the defense is playing really well. So, all of them have a little question mark somewhere that makes them certainly not invincible. So I just see it kind of getting closer. And I think you're going to see a lot of upsets over the next 3 or 4 weeks. All these ranked teams start playing each other. It's going to be, I think, a lot of attrition.
What in the hell happened to South Carolina last week?
Ron, I think they were overrated coming into the season. And they've got a good team, and they've got a tremendous athletic quarterback. But the kid hadn't played a lot of quarterback. And he 2 years ago, he got hurt early and missed a game or two. And then towards the end, he had about 2 or 3 different games. He made these phenomenal runs, with the ball in his hands. But he's never had a game where he played real good third down pocket quarterback. And he struggles with that. He doesn't do well with it at all. I mean, this year, the first game, he took a safety on a drop back pass in the end zone. He had no awareness if they're closing on him. And he knows he can run. He knows he's a big, strong kid, but he doesn't seem to have the presence to know when he's got to move in the pocket. And I don't know how well he reads things downfield. He's either making bad decisions or he doesn't know what he's looking at. A lot of his throws in the pocket are not accurate.
Does the new OC have anything to do with that? I know Dowell Loggins left, went to App State. Does the new coordinator have anything to do with that, you think?
Well, it maybe in the sense that Mike Schuler's a good football coach. Maybe in the sense, I was talking to somebody the other day, and it kind of looks like they're trying to help the kid grow as a quarterback. And if he doesn't get better at, sitting in the pocket, reading coverages, knowing when to get out of the pocket or when to protect the football, et cetera, he's not going to transition to the NFL. I don't care how big and strong and fast he is. So maybe that's what they're trying to, help him become a more complete quarterback. But right now, if he's not, scrambling 6 or 8 times a game and running the football on design runs 10 times a game, he's not helping that football team. So I don't know if it's coaching or intentional, with a purpose. But I look at him, and I'm not there every day. Maybe they see some things I don't see, but I think they're going to have to let sellers be sellers and quit worrying about whether he's ready to go to the NFL. Hell, if I was a kid, I'd stay at Carolina another year anyhow. But that's all. Now the defense got, it may say to a graduation last year and had some pretty good players. There's about 6 of them in the NFL that made rosters, and they were older kids, and experienced and tough. Now, they look like they got just as good speed to me that they had last year, but they're not nearly as physical. Last year they had a Nagurski Award winner on one end. They had the Stewart kid on the other end, and they were a handful. People couldn't protect both of them. Now there's just one guy, and the other guy on the other side's a pretty average guy. And so they're trying to help on Dylan Stewart a lot, and maybe keeping him from getting his effectiveness, although he's played pretty well this year. So they're not a complete football team. Their kicking game's been really good in the return game. Their punters and place kickers over the previous 6 or 8 years, they had really good ones, and like 3-year starters and 4-year starters. And now all of a sudden they had to replace them both. So it's not bad, but it's not nearly as big of an impact. That damn punter they had, I mean, he'd get in a game. If they had to punt 7 times, he'd average up 45 to 47 yards a punt. He wouldn't have any of them returned, and he would kill some of them inside the 10-yard line if it was a situation where they had to do that, and he could do it all. And
I have no idea how big the average fan, special teams, punters, being able to place the ball.
As a defensive coordinator that year in 2013, when we went to the national championship game, we could run the football. We had a punter. I think we had like 4 punt return attempts that year. You might know the stat or better than I would. And maybe 3 or 4 kickoff attempted to return. So as a defensive coordinator, we seldom had to play in bad field position unless we turned the ball over. And I mean, it was just, you notice stuff like that in the flow of a game. It's huge. I've lost you.
I'm sorry, I had mute on. How do you see Oklahoma, Auburn this weekend?
Well, if I just looked at it and tell you, you got to give Oklahoma the nod because they're getting to play at home. They've also played a Big Ten team, and I don't know how good Michigan is. They don't look like they're a really good team, but they got good athletes. Mm-hmm. And that was a good win for them. I think it's really been a good change for Brent to run that defense. And if you look, they probably ranked up in the national stats pretty high. I hadn't checked it in detail. But I do think Auburn's got some balance. Now, last week, they weren't overly impressive on offense, but the problem was they weren't getting the ball back soon enough. The defense was letting South Alabama move the ball. And they got some turnovers, and that was a huge difference. But you'd have to say Oklahoma's got an advantage playing at home. Now, that win at Baylor, that'll help Auburn, play on the road. So now that they know they can win a road game against a good team, and that'll help them. But from what I've seen so far, I think Oklahoma's for real. Now, they double-digit wins and playoffs, I'd say they got a hell of a shot, but I don't know that we know that yet. Mateer's played really well so far, and he's fixed that problem for him. But Jackson Darnold wasn't the problem last year anyhow. They had too many injuries in the offensive line. They had too many young players in the receiver corps, and they weren't playing good around him. Now you know what he can do because he's got good running backs, good offensive line, some good receivers he's playing with now. So he's playing well too. But I guess just with the home field, you give him a little advantage.
What do you think of Jackson Arnold first 3 games? I mean, and is it just me, or did Auburn looks better on the hoof than they have in at least 5 years?
Well, I wouldn't know that because I hadn't watched them as close as you have, but they do look. I mean, hell, they look like an SEC football team to me.
For a change.
Up front and all that. Secondary right now is they're making too many mistakes, or either they're just not making plays. It's not terrible, but they're not giving the football team opportunities to capitalize on, and that would be the one area I'm a little worried about is the secondary. Arnold, to me, he looks like a natural leader. He's a tough kid, he's a gritty kid, kind of a redneck type, and he, like Stockton a little bit. He can't beat you running, he's going to beat you throwing. If he can't beat you either one of them, he's just going to fight harder and keep coming until he does win. But I think that they fixed their problems on offense. I'm a little concerned now if they play a really good football team that can keep them under control in the running game. They don't get any explosive runs and they don't have any long possessions, and it has to go to some more throwing, and they get a little bit predictable against a good football team. I'm a little bit concerned now. They haven't looked like they throw the football that well, but they haven't had to. So, they're still winning ball games.
And they've got receivers.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a matter of, I also think, you got a new quarterback, you got young players. These guys still learn how to play together. I mean,
Yep.
you got 40, your entire quarterback room is new. I mean, these guys haven't played together. So I think that's important too.
Yeah, no question. You got to have targets and you got to cut the drops and all that kind of stuff that just kill a drive. But that last game against South Alabama, I mean, South Alabama is not a terrible program, and I think Auburn, to me, they didn't really get in gear on offense, but it was as much needing possessions. Hell, South Alabama moved the football. They had over 300 yards of offense. So that's some possession time taking plays away from Auburn. I think, Auburn didn't run but 63 plays. That ain't a lot of plays for a Hugh Freeze offense.
No, I mean, we tried
to he may have slowed it down some. I don't know, but we used to play against him. He'd run 85, 90 plays.
Yep.
And so whether it was their approach or the fact that South Alabama had some success on offense and stayed on the field, and it cut their reps on the other side of the ball.
I think a big part of trying to get out of the game, try to be as healthy as you can and get ready for SEC play. I mean, that game was pretty much in hand, probably a little bit of both.
Yeah. They've got a stretch now. I mean, it's of course a lot of the teams do. They're all starting to play each other more now. But I mean, I look at that thing. They got the first two are on the road too, aren't they? Yeah. They got Oklahoma and Texas A&M on the road back to back. Mm-hmm. And I think Oklahoma's playing with a lot of confidence, and Texas A&M's coming off a road win at Notre Dame. And I mean, hell, offensively they look really good. Mm-hmm. If that quarterback continues to play well, they're going to be right in the middle of the thing at the end. And then to get an open date, and they got Georgia and Missouri coming in back to back. And hell, Arkansas is not ranked.
They're not bad though.
Yeah, you got to be ready to play. Petrino is going to score some points so they can get the defense straightened out. But I mean, they ain't got an easy one. Kentucky's not a great team, but you can't go. You can't sleepwalk and beat them. No. And then Vantage, just like they were last year, they know who they are, and they're playing damn good football, and they know who they are and what they can do and what they can't do. And they don't beat themselves. You're gonna have to beat Vantage.
What do you make of Florida and LSU?
The Florida thing really, really surprises me, except if you go back and recount all the times Lagway's been hurt. And I don't, it kind of comes across as if he doesn't take care of his body a little bit, or if he maybe had bad luck. But he hadn't had a lot of snaps. And I don't just mean in games. He hadn't had a lot of snaps in spring practice and preseason and all that kind of stuff because he's always rehabbing something.
Right.
And if he was playing great, there might be a different football team. Defense is really good. Mm-hmm. But everybody was, came into this season thinking he was the key. And right now, he's throwing it to the wrong team. So it's starting to
turnovers. And they kept the game within, not to cut you off, but I mean, they kept the game within 10 points. But the quarterback threw 5 interceptions.
Yeah. It was crazy. I mean, they weren't planning on that. I mean, he was going to be the guy. Mm-hmm. And you could see it early on. He was not playing well, inaccurate with the ball, and he wasn't making these explosive throws that he made last year. So, when they got him playing out there last year, I think that's when they went on a 6-game streak or something like that. And it just hadn't happened this year. And you could kind of see it coming. Every time you pick up the paper, he's nursing a shoulder, he's nursing a calf, pulled a calf. I don't know how the hell you pull a calf, in the middle of off-season workouts. but they're in trouble. I mean, it's going to be hard if they can't get that straightened out on offense. And Billy's a really good football coach. I've known him since he's 21 years old, but he knows what he's doing. But that kid ain't playing well.
Is it too much in this day and time for a head coach to coach quarterback, call plays, and be the head coach?
The last one you said, be the head coach with all the shit going on now with NIL and portal.
Yep.
You better have you a really good GM or operations guy, whatever you want to call them. Because, I watched Spurrier do it. He had no problem with it. And even when he tried to turn it over to somebody else, the team wasn't as good. They were better. Hugh Freeze, they're a better football team when he's calling plays. So I don't think it's hard to be a head coach and call plays. I just think it's hard right now with all the portal stuff and everything. You got to get somebody to take all that administrative stuff off of you. I mean, completely off of you. And I don't know how anybody would have any time to go in there and meet with a staff and put together an offensive game plan with all the other stuff going on. So, yeah, I mean, it's unusual if you got all three of those things are your responsibility. That does get a little bit hairy with the way things are today.
Well, especially when you're coaching for your job. I mean, look, I spent 3 years down there. We got 2.5 years. Yeah. And the patience is running thin down there. And it's going to be, you look at the schedule now. I mean, it is just brutal. It is brutal. I mean, I'm pulling it up here. They've got, let's see. You got Miami, Texas, A&M, Mississippi State, Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss. I mean, it is a bear down the stretch.
Yep. And they, might not have looked all that bad at the beginning of the year, but Miami and Florida State are as good as they've probably been in 10 years, each one of them.
Plus your conference schedule.
Yep. So that they don't really have now. They got 2 open dates in there, which if they could somehow go down and beat Miami, I mean, like you said, hell, they're in the game with LSU, but the kid keeps throwing the football to the other team. And they didn't, what's his name? Nussmeier did not have a great looking game because they defensively got after his rear end.
They did not. The thing that really stood out to me is, it was still a 10-point game playing in Baton Rouge,
right,
in Tiger Stadium in a night game, and the quarterback throws 5 picks, and you're still in the game in the fourth, midway through the fourth quarter, you're still in the game.
That's right. So they got. I wouldn't write them off. I mean, they're beating themselves right now. Nobody else is beating them. They're beating themselves. Same thing with South Florida. I mean, South Florida's a good football team this year. But if the kid doesn't spit on another kid at the end of the game and give them a 15-yard penalty to go down and kick a field goal and beat them. So South Florida, deserves a lot of credit, but Florida beat themselves. And they beat themselves again in Baton Rouge. So if they can fix it, that's still a really good football team. But they haven't been playing that way.
And a little bit, LSU, they won, but I'm not sure how great they looked.
No, I said that a little while ago. I mean, they've kind of fixed their defense from last year, but now their offense is not hitting on all cylinders the way it was. And he's a good quarterback, tough kid, leader. He's got targets. I don't think they have a great running back. They've had some down there a hell of a lot better than this one, but he can run the football. I mean, he's not going to take over a game, but he can win if he gets some blocking. I don't know what the problem is, but I go back and say again, I think it's a compliment to Florida's defense and a little bit Clemson's defense, where LSU is right now offensively, because they've played 2 really good defenses out of 3 games.
What did you make of Tennessee and Georgia?
Well, I'm not sure that day or that night, Tennessee might have been the better team, but Georgia got it done because they're mentally tougher, and they, I think they played better in a real critical situation like that, found a way to win the ball game because they were in real deep trouble a couple of times in that game. So Two good football teams went down to the wire, and I think the one that's mentally tougher and been in those situations and gotten it done before, that was the only difference, really.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think Georgia's really good. I think there are a bunch of good teams in the league. I don't. Georgia to me doesn't. And you mentioned the same thing earlier. They don't look as dominant to me.
No.
And
I think it's the defensive front. I mean, they used to just. I mean, you couldn't get it. You couldn't even breathe for 60 minutes. I mean, if you didn't throw something over their head, you weren't scoring many points, and you weren't going to keep the ball very long. Their defensive fronts they've had down there for the past 6 years, they affect everything in the game. Possession time, field position, turnovers, pressure on the quarterback, every passing game, running game. I mean, they were that good. And like I said, they could throw 8 guys at you in the first quarter, and there's not a whole lot of difference in their talent. Nobody can stack depth like that anymore with the portal. You know, kids used to wait 2 years to get their shot, or they used to be happy playing 20 plays. But now they go play somewhere else and get a little bit of money. And so I think it's harder for these teams to have that kind of depth chart.
You know, it's about to get – Alabama had a great win against Wisconsin. Not sure how good Wisconsin is. Probably not very good. But they're off this week. But they got Georgia coming up, and you got Vandy, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, Auburn.
Yep.
It's not going to get any easier for them either. And
same way with all these teams. I mean, they're all ranked, and they're all getting ready to play each other in that 4 through 8 games. There's going to be a lot of stuff, crazy stuff happening. I was just looking at that earlier. Yeah, you don't know. Wisconsin and even the Oklahoma win over Michigan, neither one of them looked like real good Big Ten teams, but you know they got some talent. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they weren't even in the game. I mean, Alabama just crushed them. It's hard to – that's what they were last year, though. It's hard to understand how they could play the way they played at Tallahassee.
Yeah. And
how they played against Wisconsin. It's like 2 different football teams. Now, if that's just because they had one bad day, then they're going to be a hell of a football team, hard to beat. But if that's the way it's going to be, it's just like last year, you know, beat Georgia, then can't beat Vandy. You know, who knows? We'll find out after this open date. We're going to find out because they're gonna have to play good. And we talked about it a while ago. Vanderbilt, you got to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves.
Yep.
The Missouri, I'm not so sure Missouri isn't one of the surprise teams. You know, I don't know. They're playing good defense. And, I mean, Eli's got them rolling again on offense with a third different quarterback in his 5 years over there, or 6 years, how long he's been there. But and then you got Tennessee. And then South Carolina, if they get Sellers back, they could still be a headache. I mean, then they got LSU, Oklahoma, and Auburn to finish it up, you know.
And they already got one loss. I mean, you look down through there. I mean, they pick up 2 or 3 more losses. They're going to be burning that damn place down over there.
I mean, nobody's called off the dogs yet.
No,
I mean, they're all happy that they beat the hell out of Wisconsin, but they've still got they still got the magnifying glasses out. Now, if they beat Georgia in Athens, maybe they'll have it turned around. But hell, they beat them last year, and then the next week they couldn't beat Vanderbilt.
That's right.
So we'll see. We'll see. They do look like a little different team this year. It's kind of like that first drive at Florida State, 17-play drive. It wasn't a bad play on the whole drive. Then they can't play the rest of the game. It just looks like they don't know what they're doing. But then, I mean, they were really impressive against Wisconsin, how efficient they were. And that their offense is executing better than they did last year, but they have not yet made the explosive plays they did last year. And so far they hadn't needed them. The one kid that I hadn't seen, you know, bust off the radar screen. And I mean, it was like last year, you just want to turn the game on, watch them, see what Ryan Williams is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's not been, I don't know whether didn't he get hurt, got a concussion or something the other day?
He got hurt, so I'm not sure exactly what happened to him, but he was injured.
He just hadn't really made those kind of plays this year. And maybe it's because Milroe's not there to throw over their head or scramble for 35 yards, but Simpson can't do that. You know, but they look like they're running the offense that what's his name wants to run, and they're running it real efficient. And then if the defense is improved, look like they have against Wisconsin, they'll be fine going down the stretch. But they're gonna have their 2 or 3 games. I mean, everybody is. I don't know how anybody's gonna get through these next 6 weeks without losing the game. I'll be shocked.
What do you make of Arch Manning? I mean, they come out and first week lose to Ohio State 14-7, can't do anything. Play San Jose State, look terrible against UTEP. Arch Manning. You got Sam Houston this week, and then you kind of get into you got Florida, Oklahoma. Look, as far as an SEC schedule goes, Texas got a pretty easy run, but Arch Manning doesn't look very much like a Manning right now.
He's not playing well, and one of these other podcasts I'm on, Rob, and a guy comes on most Mondays, Dave Bartu, and he's an analytics guy. And we were talking about something a few weeks back, and he was saying that he would never draft a quarterback in the NFL that had less than 24 starts in college. And said all these guys that win the job their sophomore year, play 2 years and don't start at least 24 games. He said you go back and track them, they never translate to the NFL. Well, he's a prime example. He hadn't played any football, and everybody was complimenting him on staying there and waiting his turn. But this is the 3rd season he's been there, or the 4th?
3rd, I believe.
3rd, and you look back now and you say, well, Ewers probably was beating him out. Everybody want to know, where's Arch? Where's Arch? Ewers can't do this. Ewers can't do that. Well, he knew how to win, and he knew how to run the offense, and he didn't miss things. Decision making. There was some little comedy thing on the other day with Peyton and Eli commenting on the games, and I'm sure it was AI and somebody did it, but they're talking about he drops back and one of them says, "Yep, there's that post seam right there. Just throw it right over the head," and all of a sudden Arch takes off scrambling, and one of them goes, "Oh no, what's he doing now?" Or something like that. Did you see that thing?
I missed that.
And they're not saying what's coming out of the mouth, but finally one of them says, "That little shit's going to be a bust." Just like they're talking about their nephew, beating up the neighbor or something. But it's been worse than I thought it would be. But I felt like people were really overrating this thing. Look, I read something the other day. The ESPN had Sellers the number 1 rated draft prospect. How? He's done some fantastic things in college, but none of it translates to the NFL. And then Arch hadn't played it down. And I know he's got some talent and skills. Hell, everybody in America wanted him, but he hadn't played football for 3 years. And so I just don't think anybody ought to be shocked, but I really think and it could be a little bit of that system. Sark, he's finesse and execution, and there's a lot of systematic elements to it that a young kid might can handle real well. Moving people before the snap and different things like that. A lot of young kids don't know what the heck they're looking at. They make a decision too late and throw a ball, and it's either it's an inaccurate ball or somebody picks it because you're too late with it. I don't care how good your arm is, you got to make a decision quicker. And then, trying to buy time with his legs and so forth, there's too much of it. And on this particular play I was joking about a while ago, he scrambled and reversed. He looked like Archie, and he ran over toward the right side, and they said, "Yeah, take it and run it, man." And all of a sudden he pulls up, throws it back across the field into the end zone, and gets it intercepted. And that's a cardinal rule. You don't ever throw across your body, and don't ever throw, in the middle of the field late. So I don't know. But he's not playing well, that's for sure. And whether he's just not gotten the repetitions or something, I don't think anybody ought to be totally shocked.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's all this damn hype, man. All anybody talks about is media people. they calling people a Heisman candidate, and they hadn't proven a thing.
Well, you remember Jeremy Johnson, quarterback at Auburn, and everybody thought he was going to, he'd never played, and he was on all the Heisman watch lists, and hell, he couldn't play dead in the Western. I mean, physically he looked like Tarzan, played like Jane. I mean, just one very good player.
Yep.
If I'm LSU, they're 3-0, but I'm a little bit concerned. You got Southeast Louisiana this week, and then you got Ole Miss, South Carolina coming up. It's not a brutal schedule, but it's not easy.
That thing's backloaded. They get Texas A&M, Alabama, Oklahoma. All three of those could end up being playoff teams.
Yep.
We don't know yet, but they're kind of backloaded. But one thing you got to say about them now, they've gone into Clemson, and of course Clemson's played terrible on offense, but they went into Clemson, won a close ball game. They won a close ball game against Florida, and now we've talked ad nauseum about what Lagway did down there, but hell, they had something to do with it. The one thing I like about LSU is they seem to have a little grit. They're a little mentally tough, but they're certainly not on offense. They're just not hitting on all cylinders right now. So they definitely have got to get things straightened out. And I'd say that trip to Oxford's going to be huge.
Well, for LSU, I mean, that's their rival game. That's a they go.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's and you got to add Ole Miss. I mean, you go down there and lose at Ole Miss. It starts getting loud around Baton Rouge. It's a great business we're in.
That's right. But I mean, that's going to be a huge one for them. And Ole Miss has got some quarterback issues too, and so they'll both come into that game. Who's Ole Miss got this week?
Let's see. Ole Miss
they got Tulane, who's not a bad football team, but they ought to both come in, off of a win. But the quarterback thing at Ole Miss, it looks like that kid transferred in from a lower level is playing the best, making the biggest plays and consistent. So, they may have some issues right there.
Yeah, I was looking
everybody. There's a lot of teams, that could be right in the national championship picture. I mean, at least 7 or 8 of them, depending on how the ball bounces. Every football team in this conference now has got a couple of freckles, and we'll see who ends up playing well.
Let's pick some games this week before we go. Arkansas at Memphis.
I think Arkansas will win. I think they're a lot better football team than they were last year. They're not playing great defense, but if they can hold people to mid-20s, they win football games.
You got UAB at Tennessee. I don't think there's any question Tennessee's going to take that one.
There's only really 2 marquee games, and Auburn, Oklahoma's one of them. And then, although Florida's not, not really win-loss record, it look like they're out in the backyard somewhere, but that's going to be a knockdown drag-out. That's Florida, Miami.
I picked Florida. Who do you have?
I would. It's going to be in Miami.
Mm-hmm. But playing at Miami is not the same as playing at an SEC stadium now. I mean,
no. And if they can somehow get Lagway on track, I mean, he didn't have to throw for 300 yards and make 5 explosive plays, but if he can't take care of the football, they're not going to beat them.
They're not going to beat anybody if he turns the ball over 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, Miami is not as good on defense, I don't think, as LSU. But, I mean, Florida goes down there and does the things they did last week. I mean, all they got to do, that kid, the quarterback in Miami's playing really good now. Kid from Georgia, he's playing really well right now. So, I mean, if Florida plays like Florida's been playing and Miami plays like Miami's been playing, Miami's going to beat Florida's butt. That's what I said about South Carolina and Clemson last week, and both of them turned out to be exactly right.
You called Clemson. I mean, you said 2 or 3 weeks ago. You said, hey, don't be surprised if Clemson finishes 3rd in the conference. And it looks like
they're not playing as well as Florida State or Miami or Georgia Tech, and maybe somebody else along the line. I don't know. Now, if they start playing well, but like I said, if Clemson plays the way they've been playing, and Georgia Tech plays the way they've been playing, Georgia Tech's going to win. And I said the same thing about South Carolina. If South Carolina plays like they've been playing and Vandy plays like they've been playing, Vandy's going to win the game. And that's what happened. They didn't, neither Carolina nor Clemson played well. And that's how they got beat. And the other teams that beat them are good football teams, but they're not great teams.
Right.
And they were both favored to win, and they didn't win. And that's the thing about the Florida-Miami game. If Florida performs the way they've been playing and Miami performs the way they've been playing, Miami's going to win the game. Now, I kind of think like you. I think Florida's going to upset them, but it's just got kind of a gut feeling.
Same here. We got one more, South Carolina at Missouri.
I don't, the kids in concussion protocol, if Sellers doesn't play, they got no chance. If he plays but doesn't play any better than he's been playing, they will get beat, and they'll get beat 20 points or more. Missouri is playing really good football right now.
Eli's done a great job.
Yeah. I mean, the only way South Carolina can win down there, they got those punt returns and kickoff returns in the first 2-3 games. The kicking game, you have to do something exceptional to keep them in the game, and the defense is going to have to get some turnovers. And Missouri's not been letting people turn them over very much at all. So I think they've got a really tough job going out to Missouri.
Yeah, I don't think Eli gets nearly enough credit for Missouri's not an easy job. He has done. If you look at the conference, has been a little bit on its head. Look, Alabama's been good, Georgia's been good, but I mean, if you look around now, Florida and Auburn have been awful, and you got Missouri and Ole Miss winning 10 games.
Yeah,
I mean, it should be an interesting year, but should be an interesting weekend.
I think one of the more impressive things, like I said a while ago, on him, this will either be the fourth quarterback or the third quarterback. And I mean, I'm not saying they've been going out of on the portal every other day, but he's been there how many years? 6?
Believe so.
He won with the Luck kid. He won with this kid and this kid, Pribula. I mean, the offense looks the same no matter who's in there.
Yeah.
They execute. They make critical plays. They're accurate with the ball. They find them a running back. They can get yardage when they need it, and they just do a hell of a job, I think, executing third down and so forth.
And he's got a great staff. I mean, I know some of those guys up there. I mean, he's got some really experienced guys. He's got a good mix, young guys and old guys. He's done a really good job with it. Ellis, good show.
There's not another game. Texas got Sam Houston. LSU's got Southeast Louisiana. Vanderbilt's got Georgia State. Mississippi State's got Northern Illinois. Ole Miss got Tulane. It's a funny week, really.
And they're not any national games. I mean, you got, I think, Texas Tech and Utah, and that's not much else.
Yeah.
Well, Ellis, good show. Good to be with you again.
Sounds good. I didn't make a bad call. No bad defensive calls. Hell, I'm an expert.
There you go. Me too. We'll see you next week.
Okay, man. Enjoyed it.
Same here. Appreciate everybody listening. Click like and subscribe below. It really helps us out.